it's really important to really understand what job you're being paid to do. Because one of the things you'll find as you go up your career is the more senior you get, the harder it is to work out what the job actually is. Because when you're a buyer, you buy. But when you're CEO of Walmart International, you sure as heck don't run a business like that. You certainly can't manage it. So trying to work out what the job is, I think, is a really important role as you get more senior. And we'll come back to some of the characteristics. But so for me and mine, the first is you get, the more senior you go, the more important it is to be setting broad direction rather than giving specific tasks. And in essence, you get to set a very broad strategy that, in some ways when you look at it, and if you took this strategy for Walmart International, it's we actively manage our portfolio. We want to grow sales by having unique value propositions. We want to have the lowest cost base, and we want to have strong foundations, trust, talent. Now, you can probably look at that and say, no shit, Sherlock. I mean, that's about as basic as it gets. And you find that's the dilemma with frameworks, is they have to be broad enough to stand the test of time, but you have to bring them to life enough that they mean something to people and they broadly move them in the right direction. But then you have to delegate. And I think that's the single biggest thing as you go up an organization, is the ability to let go of stuff and not manage it yourselves is really, really important. And, for me, if there's any task that, unless I genuinely think that by personally getting involved or my team getting involved, we make it 30, 40, 50% better, you should let it go. Because every time you get involved, you undermine accountability and you stop people thinking for themselves. I think one of the toughest things to think about in talent is about fit. Because it's not hard to work out, logistician who's got good experience. Working out who will be right at a certain point of time in a certain set of circumstances is, I think, the most important bit. Because plenty of times you get really talented people and you put them in the wrong job at the wrong time and you see them fail. So understanding what stage of development a business is in, understanding what sort of skills people have, how they're characteristic, how they'll complement the rest of the team and how that's going to fit together is a real skill. The third thing then would be about culture. And I'm going to keep coming back to this because I do think it's about the most important attribute of a leader is you have to be the person who creates the culture that achieves a number of things. It has to be a culture that engages people. So for me, I've been very lucky to spend most of my life working for two businesses that had a very strong culture in Mars and Walmart. And the role of a purpose in a culture is incredibly important, particularly in retail.